Namaskar, teacher. I'm Dr. Simi Mahajan. Welcome you today's session of ZI regarding inclusive education. So we have been discussing in past sessions about inclusion of certain disabilities, neurodevelopmental disorders, and e- education for all is the dream of it is a universal dream, and every nation, every modern nation is trying to realize this dream. And when we talk about India, so India is the country of many diversities. So when we talk about diversities, we acknowledge diversities of language, gender, socioeconomic status, and geographical diversities. But when we talk about abilities and disabilities, we still are not very well versed with this diversity. People with disabilities are always taken as that, as if they are suffering from some curse, or there is a end road to them. So we never realize that disability can be one of the diversity. So our uh, uh, so under this program we are trying our best to include this diversity in the society. And as we said always, that teachers are the real torch bearer to bring inclusion in the country. When we talk about disabilities, abilities, or children with special need, so then definitely we trust that teachers are the only people, those who can bring inclusion in the classrooms. So just continuing in this matter, now this today we are going to discuss about one of the 21 disabilities which have been recognized by RPWD Act 2016, that is blindness and visual disabilities. In past sessions, we have discussed more about mental illnesses and the neurodevelopmental disorders. Now we will be talking more about in further sessions about physical disabilities. So let us first understand that what is the real meaning of uh, blindness or visual impairment. What is the actual definition? So let me just open my presentation. So blindness, when we talk about blindness, so blindness is either total absence of sight. People who are born blind, congenital blindness is that they cannot see anything. So there is an absence of sight. And then we talk about second is when visual acuity not exceeding 6 by 60 or 20 by 200 by Snellen's chart. So what does that mean? So most of the time we say that our eye can see up to infinity, but there is a certain assessment how we can assess that the person has a normal eyesight. There is one of the medium is Snellen's chart, so which describes that under 6 by 60, so there are certain alphabeticals which are written in sequential order. You must have seen in some optometrist shop or at some doctor's clinic, when you go for, you must have gone for eye checkup. So there is the letter at the, there is a letter which is written at the top, so it depicts 6 by 60. That means that uh, a normal sighted person can view that particular line from the 6 meters. And when we go for the checkup, our checkup is done from 6 meters. So the person who can see that letter from 6 meters, then further we have to see there's a last line which everybody is supposed to view from 6 meters. So we, in relation to 6 meters, we check the sight of the visually disabled person. So I'm going to say that a child, the person who is considered as technically blind, so he cannot, his or her vision does not exceed 6 by 60. So his vision is, with even with the correction of glasses, he is wearing glasses, correction of specs, he cannot see beyond 6 by 60. So now you can understand that how how much a disability is to that person. And then a third is that one is the vision equity, through that we diagnose that the person is visually impaired. And second is the visual field. So what is the area, how much area through your eyes you can see. So you must have seen, when you see straight through your open eyes, you don't see up to this level, your eye can see up to that much of area. So this is the area, this is the field which is covered by an eye. So the person with blindness, we can say that, so that the vision is around that is making an angle of only 20 degree. So this is we technically called a person blind when the person cannot see, or his vision is not exceeding 6 by 60, or with the even with the corrected eyes. And third is when the visual angle is less than 20 degree. So let us understand now what are visually impaired or the people with low vision, because both are considered as a disability. Not only blindness is considered as a disability, people with low vision. So low vision up to which level, that is very very important, as we have discussed in previous session also, that to consider the person under disability, there should be a benchmark disability. Benchmark disability means there is a 40% of the disability must be having in a person. So under low vision, how we describe the person with the low vision with the disability is that there is an impairment of visual functioning even after the treatment with the standard refractive correction. So when the person even wearing after wearing glasses, even then his vision is not complete 6 by 6, his vision is not 6 by 6. So and less than 6 by 18, then the person is considered as visually impaired. And what is this severe visual impairment is that when the visual acuity is poor in the better sight, which is 6 by 18. So when the categories are that 6 by 6 is the accurate vision, then the mild vision is 6 by 9, then 6 by 12, 6 by 18, 6 by 24, 6 by 36, and by 6 by 60. When the person is 6 by 60, we call it as a very very poor vision, which is equivalent to blindness. But when we say that the person is having a vision by 6 by 18, even after even in the corrected best eye, even after the correction with the specs, even his vision does not improve beyond 6 by 18, then we call the person that the person is having visual impairment. And here the visual field is the angle which is less than 10 degree. So his vision through the eye, the field is very very narrow, he cannot see to the broader area. So this is our little definition to understand about what is blindness and what is uh, uh, visual impairment. Now let us understand and why it is important, because blindness or visual is one of the very very important disability all over the world. There are around 246 million people who are considered blind all over the world, and I think around 39 million people 246 million sorry 246 million people are suffering from visual impairment, and around 39 million people are having blindness. And sometimes we say that there are certain causes which are related to blindness. Now we will see that. And if we understand how the condition is, and there are certain causes which are preventable at the when the child is into the prenatal stage and after the birth also. So we can prevent certain causes if we understand that what are the real causes for blindness. So let us see, there are certain few causes. I know that is not something related to you, but you can see, you must have heard these conditions, some of the conditions you must have heard also, like keratoconus, corneal ulcers, glaucoma, जिसको we call it in a layman's language काला मोतिया, cataract जिसको हम सफेद मोतिया बोलते हैं, white सफेद मोतिया, and iritis, retinopathies, nystagmus is that where the person is having rotation of eyeballs, his eyeballs are not stationary, it is constantly moving. Squint, as in a layman terms हम जिसको बहंगा पेन कहते हैं, just that the person is not able to see, his eyeballs are not in rotating in coordination with each other. Diabetes mellitus. So diabetes is one of the reason which can hamper the eyesight of a person. Then optic nerve degeneration and retina pigmentosa. So these are certain conditions which can lead to blindness even after the birth. There are certain conditions when the people are born with blindness, but there are certain conditions which are because of that the blindness is acquired. So and as a teacher or a parent, it is important to know how to understand that why that child is having low vision, because most of the children in our country and people in our country, they are never recognized unless they have a real problem, when their eyesight is checked and they are found a very very poor vision, they don't even complain. So as a teacher, you can actually support and help these children. You can identify these children through their specific certain behavior patterns, and if we identify these children in time, then definitely we can do lot with them so that we can save their eyesight. One thing is that. Second is that I really want to tell you as a teacher also that the whole education is all about creating a support structure, creating a support structure, but don't become a crutches to the person. So don't help so much that the child person doesn't cannot do anything. Don't think like that. So your role is create an environment which is conducive, which will help blind people or the people with low vision to sustain themselves. They can do their day to day activities, they can study, they can go to the schools, they can sit in the classroom, they can participate in the activities. So that should be the main objective of the teacher, to bring inclusion in the classroom. So first let us understand that how you are going to identify with particular behavior pattern that child may suffer from lower vision. First of that, these children, their body is very very rigid when they look at any object, because then they have to stress themselves, they have to strain their eye, they have to focus their eye to look at certain object. So their body is very rigid when they see any object. Second is they have a short attention span and daydreamer. Since most of the time when teacher is writing on a blackboard, and they are not able to see properly, so there is no engagement for the child is not engaged in the classroom, and he loses the attention very very frequently, and he start thinking something else. Sometimes we call these children our daydreamer. So it's not like that their attention span is poor. Actually, as we have seen in certain neurodevelopmental disorders, it is just because of that they are not able to see properly, then they lose interest in that particular topic. Third is that when the child places head close to a book or desk when coloring, reading or writing, you must have seen that certain children, when they study, they write, their head is just touching the book. They study and they write with a very very low head, as if they are just they touch the top surface of desk, because they can't see, they can't. So these are children where they, when they have a problem of near vision, they cannot see properly, and then they focus like that. They just, and or their eyesight is very very poor, so they just bend so much that almost their face or head is touching the book. And then you are, or you must have seen children at home also, when they are watching TV, they are just near to the TV, just sitting near to the TV. Children uses unusual or fisted pencil grips. So these children, when they have a problem, the same thing, when they have a very very poor vision also, they may lose a sight to hold the pencil. So their grip to the pencil is very very hard and firm, because there is a fear of losing the pencil, they the breaking, and they frequently break the pencils because of that. So and their hand life, if they, you will see their handwriting, it, you will see it is very very sloppy, it is very excessively spidery. So there is a proper, there is no proper formation of letter, it is not a, there is a smoothness in the writing, it is just like that, it sometimes it is illegible. And then next is child closes and covers one eye. So it is a very very nominal phenomena. Sometimes it is like a, you want to give a pinhole effect when you cannot see properly. So you must have seen that children, they close their one eye, they blink their eyes just to focus on these objects. So this is very very common sign which we can see in people if they have a poor vision. And then next is child dislikes, um, and usually these people, they have a difficulty in remembering and whatever they read, since they have to put lot of effort to focus because of their vision. So they just lose the track, and they sometimes they forget that what they have read in the textbook. And some, and these children, they oftenly lose the sight when they are reading. They have to take the help of a finger to concentrate on the reading written text, because if they don't use the finger and their sight is poor, they usually frequently loses the place that from where they have to read and where they were. And they oftenly skip the words and rereads it. So because of this also, so they different they sometimes they skip the words and they try to reread it, and it is very difficult for them to remember and certain concept of geometry and reproducing basic geometry concept. And these children have a problem in sequential order also. Suppose they are reading something, since they are putting lot of effort, so sometimes they loses this space. So when you ask them to recreate it, so they loses the sequence of the events or sequence of the written text. And with child who has a poor eye hand coordination and unusual awkwardness, difficulty with stairs, throwing and catching ball, buttoning and unbuttoning of buttons. So these children, sometimes they, you feel that they may have a poor motor skills. No, it is not because of that they have a poor motor skills, it is because of their poor vision. There is a lack of eye hand coordination among them. So they, if they have to catch a ball, they have to button or unbutton the shirt, they have to tie the laces. So sometimes these children, they struggle in that also. Child is easily frustrated, withdrawn, and has difficulty getting along with children. That's very very normal. When child has to struggle on daily basis, and he and when he has to struggle and people around the child doesn't understand his need, at that time child is very very irritable. He cannot explain that how much pain and agony the child is having to deal with simple tasks when other children are doing in the class. He wants to play, he wants to be a part of certain activities, but because of his lower vision, his vision issues, and he is not expressing himself, and the community doesn't understand his need, and then he is totally withdrawn. Then he stops taking part in those activities which requires vision. And I think so that in our day to day life, most of the activities is that where we require our vision, we require the help of our eyes. So that is there. So these are certain signs and symptoms which you can identify in children, in children. If you find out these sign and symptom, you may think that the child may be suffering from poor vision or visual disability. Since there is a lot of stigma attached to the visual disability, so most of the time when the child is suffering from the problem, it doesn't discloses, child doesn't come out that he or she is having a problem. So at that time, it is the duty of a teacher and a parent to understand and identify. And when you see that the child has stopped, child has lot of mistakes in the writing, his performance has deteriorated, his speed of reading has reduced, then you can think that the child may be suffering from lower vision. No, this is one thing, is the identification as a teacher. Now if you will identify what is the next step, how you can bring inclusion in the classroom, how you have to create that environment that the child is accommodated and child is very very much included into the classroom. So let us see that. So I have already discussed with you that around 246 million people are having low vision and 39 million people are suffering from blindness. And a person having benchmark disability can avail disability benefit through the government. To get a disability certificate for blindness, contact the nearest hospital, district hospital. Doctor has to assess the extent of the loss, and the certificate is produced accordingly. And then medical authorities shall comprise of one ophthalmologist and just a minute. So and the ophthalmologist and the optometrist, and the disability has to be countersigned by medical superintendent of the hospital or the civil surgeon. So it has a disability certificate once is issued, child may get lot of benefits as mentioned in RPWD Act 2016 also. And so he may get certain leverages in terms of during the exam time of the exam sitting, and he may get certain visual aid from the government, so he can get lot of benefits if that child is coming under benchmark disability, and he can get lot of benefits. But now let us see as a teacher how you are going to create the inclusion in the classroom. To understand the special need of a uh, just just to understand the special need of a child, a teacher has to make an environment so that child can be really accommodated in the classroom. So this should be the objective of a teacher uh, when she is dealing with children with visual disability. She has to see that what kind of a light, how much light is required in the classroom, how much, at what distance child has to sit, what should be the sitting position of a child. So there are certain things which she has to keep in mind if she has children with low vision or children who are suffering from blindness. So she has to arrange certain things in the school and in the classroom. And as I've already discussed before also, that please don't help to the level that you are not allowing child to do anything, you are making things everything available to the child. No, that should not be the purpose of a teacher. The purpose of the teacher is to make the child independent, to be more empathetic rather than sympathetic. So don't show sympathy to these people, they don't want that. They want that you equally respect them, do you respect their potential, you have a trust that they can do anything, they can manage their life. The only thing is we have to create certain needs for them because they have special need to do certain work. So create and avoid all those obstacles which is going to hamper their growth, which is going to hamper their life. So remove all the handicaps, but create all the environment that they can independent enough to do their work. So what are the things we have to keep in mind? First is the sitting position. As I told you, in certain conditions, certain causes we have discussed, sometimes these causes they cause lot of, like the child may be photophobic, he has a problem in very very strong light, or when there is a glare of light, he cannot see anything. Sometimes these children, people, they have a problem in seeing when the light, when there is too much dark, if there is no proper light, they cannot see properly. From a sense, sometimes there is, as I told you, that their angle of field of vision is very very not narrow. So wherever they have a seeing target, visual target, so they have to their position should be set like that they can see the object what they are supposed to see. So sitting position matters very very important, that what should be the distance from the blackboard, what should be the distance from the whatever they have to see, and at what angle, like they are sitting in front of the seeing object, they are angular to the object. So these things can be, it has to be taken care by teacher, and it has to be understood by teacher. Teacher has to understand the need of that child. She has to take more and more information about child issue problem, and then she can create a right environment. Second is that, as I told you, a lot of children, they are when they study, they bend their body like this, and they bend their head, and they just put their head into the book because they cannot see properly. But over the period of time, it affects their posture. It is going to affect their bones, muscles, and they may have certain other issues. In that scenario, if we can create something on the desk, some subject object where the book can be placed, some desktops are can be created, and the child, so that which can create a right distance from the eye, and child posture can be erect, so that and he can see it properly. Third is that child desk and place should be very very tidy and methodical, especially in the case, because when children are with low vision or blindness, it is they cannot. So if the space, everything is in a proper space, so over the period of time, their tactile senses are more become more stronger, and then they, through the touch, through the placing, they can identify, they can pick up these objects. When the table or the top is very very untidy, it will be very very difficult for them to pick up and identify the right object. Now comes the lighting. So how, what kind of light should be there? So as I told you, it all depends upon different kind of disorders, and which causes the disability. Sometimes people are having problem with very very bright light, it gives a glare to them, and they cannot see properly. Sometimes people have a problem, they cannot see in the very very low and dim light. So we have to see accordingly, we have to make the child sit in the room. So we have make sure that that normal light is coming, and glare should be avoided, which makes them further blind. Next is safety consideration is very very important when we are dealing children with low vision or blindness. So we understand that we have to create an environment, that their environment around them is very very safe. First of all, we have to ensure that the staircases, corridor, from the passage from where they have to move is well lit. It has proper light, so that it will not hamper their sight. Second is, if possible, we can make a rule, if it works in schools where are special schools or residential schools where a lot of children who are blind, or if you find that in your school there are 3 4 students or a student who are blind, then make a rule that as we walk on a road, that there are rule that everyone is walking to their left side, so that there is no fear of having collision. Somebody is coming in front, so they will be on the opposite side, so they are comparatively safe, they are not going to collide with anybody else. Third chance is that whenever there is a difference in the level of a ground or the places, then please mark it with the dark light. Like when we are ascending stairs, you must have seen nowadays in many areas, when the buildings are inclusive. So the borders of stairs, either they have the different texture, they are rough, so that we can see that the somebody is not able to slip, or sometimes they have a yellow and bright light, fluorescent light strips is running on the stairs and near the doors, sides of the road, so that it is easily visible even the person with low vision, and they can be more alert. Sometimes when there is a room and there is a change of level in the room, then there is always a bright some we have to divide that, demarcate with that with a bright color or with a bright tape, so that we can understand that the level of the ground is going to be changed from there, and we are not going to fall. So next is that we need to, when we are having children with low vision, or children with who are blind, so that we make sure that we don't have some objects which may be putting here and there, like placing of almirahs, electric cables which are not just lying on the ground, certain hazardous substances which should not be in the excess in the passage of the person who is having low vision, so he may have some injury or may have some emergency or casualty. And then next is the work display, how you display your work on the board in the classroom. So make sure that when you have children with low vision and children with blindness, have more shoes of contrast color, so that they can concentrate on that. It should be the text should be very very bold in writing, very very clear, spacing should be there, and wherever we put the board and the text, there should be proper light coming over there, so that children can see it. It is going to help them to their eyes can accommodate well to see that object. Another important thing is that when you are talking to child, you are explaining something to a child, make sure that your back is not facing the window, because once your back is facing the window, the child will be facing towards window, and sometimes the light and the glare which is coming from the window, it will hamper the vision of a child, and whatever you are demonstrating, child may not be able to see. So make sure that these are very very simple tips. Sometimes we just ignore it, but if we are alert, we get alert and we are present to these tips, I'm sure that we will be able to help children with low vision. And then is the writing material. So writing material, if we have children who are with blindness, definitely we should have the books for writing, so that they can do that. Otherwise, children with no low vision, we can use felt pens. Felt pens are like your markers, sketch pens. They are bold and they are having a high contrast color, so it is easy for them to write, and it is visible to them. We can use such stationery if we have such children. And then we use, as you know, we have to use bold line and square line papers, so that they can write clearly all the alphabets or whatever the letters they want to write, so they can actually see that. So we can use such kind of a stationery when we have these children in our classroom. And then the reading material, again reading material, so it should be bold, the text should be very very bold, it is should be very very clearly written, and with the contrast color, so that it is very easily visible on the paper. Second is that while reading, we have to give extra time to a child, because he has to focus, he has to concentrate, so we need to be a little patient. Student may take some time, but give that, so understand his issue, and cooperate with that, and reduce the amount of reading and writing. It is preferable that if the children with low vision and children uh, who are having sight equal to blindness, so that we should try to give less of reading and writing work, so it will help them in to be included in the classroom. And then if you can read aloud, if you can create that the child may use a tape recorder. Sometimes there is an important classroom class, you want to build teach an important concept, so make sure that you are your voice is loud enough that child can hear it properly, and he can use the tape recorder to record the text, so that he can then practice at home also. He can read listen again and again, and he can understand it, because it is very difficult for him to match with the speed of yours, and you have to include the other student in the classroom. Sometimes you can use such certain aids to help these children. And next is that then again, if possible, give prior notes to the child, so that he can just, it can be put it on braille script also, so that while in the classroom it will be easy for the child to be accommodated, and he can participate with other children also in such activities. So this is all, I say that what we have learned today. So this is all about children with visual impairment or blindness. If you have any question, I'm ready to take up that. Now let me just switch off my presentation. So most of the time, we are not actually issue about the, we see just that the child is blind. Blindness is people who are having blindness, maybe they are detected in the beginning, but most of the children who are having low vision, and believe me, in our country, when children are sitting in the classroom, they are having low vision. Sometimes they are unidentified, and it is because of the poor nutrition, poor condition. So many things are there which leads to low vision. So if we actually identify them in time, we can save their sight, we can save their eyes, and they can be very well included in the classroom. So any question regarding this, please let me know. I'm happy to handle that. So I'll request those teachers who are here with me, you can switch on your video also. I can see all of you. And again, I request you, if you want to ask anything, kindly ask
switch
me.
on your video. Stop video. আমি কইতে মনে
हाँ जी
madam tomorrow will class
tomorrow we are going to have the same class in Hindi.
On Monday.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, I'm sorry, tomorrow is a holiday, 15th August. We are not having class. And so
okay
the next class is on Monday. The same class
on
will be
Monday.
repeated in Hindi. Yeah, it is on
Okay,
Monday.
okay,
Thank,
madam.
thank, thank you, Mr. Ghosh, for asking this. This is,
madam,
yeah.
I have written all these things, madam. Visual.
Okay.
things
Did
also.
you? Okay. So did you understand? Could you find out important today's session? Was that of help to you?
Madam, there is given like as pencil, color pencil, printed
Yeah,
pencil. Yes,
true.
this pencil I have to
So
take in that class, ma'am.
yeah, so
Coloring
because they
pencil.
are the color pencils, because they create a contrast, because they should have a sharp contrast on a white sheet. If they write with the color black pencil, dark pencils, it will help them to see properly. That is there. So you can use
Okay,
sketch pens,
sketch
markers,
pen,
so it will,
marker,
yeah, sketch pen, markers, it will help
marker.
them, that, yeah.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
And
Okay,
anybody
ma'am.
else? Thank you, Mr. Ghosh. Anybody else want to ask anything? It will be really great if you ask. Then I think things will be more clear, and it will be created for others also. Either you understood everything, or either you didn't understand anything. So what should I take it?
Okay, ma'am. Yes.
So we will be coming. So next session will be the same session in Hindi. Then next and then the next disability we will be taking is the hearing impairment. So we'll be talking about that. So we will be covering all the 21 disabilities under this program.
Okay, ma'am.
So with that, thank you so much, and thank you for attending these sessions. Namaskar, and we'll meet on Monday. Thank you.